What is DevOps in simple words? This is what I'm going to talk about today in this video. DevOps has been there for a while and it's still very relevant, and it's going to be relevant for the years to come. DevOps is very popular, and particularly when we use agile methodology. To understand DevOps, we first need to understand why there was a need of DevOps at all. Because we've been doing IT development for a long time now. So why DevOps? To understand this, let's look into some of the slides that I have put together.
What is DevOps? Let's look into the definition of DevOps first. So by definition, it is a combination of practices and tools where development team and operations team work together to release the software fast and with a high quality. The essence here is development and operations team work together. It is not just one thing. It is a combination of practices, multiple tools for development, building the software, testing, and releasing the software. And it is also a cultural change. It is a shift in mindset. So all of these together make DevOps. Now, to understand what is DevOps, first we need to understand why did we need DevOps? What kind of challenges or problems we faced in the existing software development lifecycle that brought DevOps into existence. So let's understand what is a typical software development and release cycle. Once we understand that, we'll come to know what kind of challenges we've faced and that brought DevOps into existence. This is a typical software development and release cycle. Be it waterfall methodology, agile methodology, or any other methodology. These are the stages which are always used in a software development lifecycle. We have to have a set of requirements. Those requirements are defined, estimated, and finalized by the team. Then the development team works on the code development. Once the code is developed, they build that code and deploy that code into a QA environment. The testing team does the testing in the QA environment. After successful testing of the code and functionality, the code is packaged and it is deployed into production by operations team. And after that, operations team monitor and maintain that piece of functionality into production. So the stages on the left hand side are done by the development team, starting from requirements gathering to testing the code and functionality. And the stages on the right hand side are typically done by the operations team. They deploy the package into production and then they maintain and monitor the code into production. It was still okay with the waterfall methodology, but when we started doing agile methodology, that's where the main problem started to surface. So what happens when we do agile methodology? We have short release cycles. The release cycles are anywhere between a week to few weeks. Some of the organizations even have multiple releases in a week or in a day as well. It all depends on the type of project and the maturity level of the organization for DevOps and Agile processes. With Agile methodology and short release cycles, this is how it looked for both the teams, development and operations team. So they faced various challenges. The first challenge was a communication gap between dev and ops. So within the short release cycles, what started happening is the development team was pushing the changes fast in production that caused more bugs in production. The operations team were feeding those bugs back to the development team, and development team has new functionalities as well for the future releases. So development team was planning for future releases in isolation for the new functionality as well as the bugs in production. They were running this cycle in isolation. Once the functionality is built and tested, they were sending the package to the operations team. Operations team didn't have a very good understanding of how the code was done and what kind of components are built. So they face challenges in doing the deployment for that. That introduced a delay in the release cycle. The development team, on the other hand, did not have a very good clarity on the operations environment. So they were building the packages without collaborating with the operations team. That created problem in deployment. The next challenge was dev pushes the changes fast, causing quality issues. So dev was always in a rush to push the changes fast because they are doing agile. They have like a weekly or bi-weekly release. They were pushing the changes fast. The operations was always concerned about the fast releases because that might break the existing functionality into production. So the operations is pushing back on the changes, whereas development is pushing those changes forward into production. So there was always a conflict. The next challenge was manual build and deployment. The releases started happening fast, but the development team was still following manual processes to build the code and to release the code. So build and deployment were all manual. Because of the manual build and deployment processes, it introduced more delays and it caused quality issues. But that's when a need of DevOps arose. This is how it looked after DevOps was adopted. So DevOps is all about removing the roadblocks in the process. It is all about removing the inefficiencies in the process. Development team and operations team started collaborating on planning for the next release. You can see this is a continuous cycle. It is a cycle of infinity. The operations team continuously feeds back the bugs and issues and requirements to the development team. Then they both together plan for the new release. Now because they are collaborating into planning, both the teams have the understanding of what is being built for the next release. So the operations team started participating into the development cycle right from planning stage. After planning was done, operations team stayed in constant touch with the development team to understand the progress on the development and testing. So they had a fair understanding of what is being built, how it is being built, and how it is tested. When it comes to release, now because operations team has a very good understanding of how the components were built and they are part of the same team, the releasing of the software into production became smooth. DevOps evolved over a period of time. A DevOps engineer's role also got created. So the DevOps engineer is responsible for streamlining the build, deployment, and release process. The DevOps engineer will build a CI/CD pipeline, which is continuous integration and continuous deployment. Jenkins is used for building the continuous integration. So with that role and with these new processes in place, the build and release cycle was streamlined. The second challenge was because dev was pushing the changes into production environment fast, there were quality issues. There was not enough time of testing. So automation testing was introduced in all the phases of testing. Selenium is a very popular tool for automation testing. With the automation testing, the testing was done quickly, that improved the quality of the product and that relieved the operations team from the concern of pushing the changes fast into production. So now they know everything is tested thoroughly before it is released into production. The third challenge was manual build and deployment processes. So all those processes were automated as part of DevOps. There are multiple tools in the market which are used for builds and release. DevOps made the build and release process streamlined. So this is DevOps at a high level. In my next video, we'll also talk about all of the tools used in DevOps in greater detail. Thanks for watching the video.